Welcome back to Hoochos. So this is a video that I've been meaning to do for a while, and a few people asked me what grow lights I use for the propagation of my seedlings that I've shown you in previous videos. And when Mars Hydro offered to send me one of their own grow lights for me to test, it was too good of an opportunity to pass up. So it also gave me a good segue into indoor hydroponics, which is fantastic. So today we'll be discussing the state of budget LED grow lights and whether they're worth your time and money. The short answer is they are. Everyone on YouTube seems to have this awesome knife that they open things with, so I thought I'd just go with safety knife. Safety. And since I'm not an unboxing channel, so in the box we've got hangers, cord, user manual, light. Simple as. Now let's take a moment to talk about why LED lights have gone from looking like this to looking like this. It's all got to do with luminous efficiency. Now, luminous efficiency is essentially what you're looking for in a grow light. It's a specific number that tells you how efficient the light is at converting energy into light. Lights throughout history have had different efficiencies for turning energy into light. An incandescent bulb, for instance, is about 2% efficient, whereas your fluorescent bulbs are about 10% efficient. The reason that HPS bulbs are used for a lot of indoor growing situations is because they have about a 20% efficiency rate. So the light will convert 20% of the energy pumped into it into light usable by the plants. Now, with the invention of LEDs, red and blue lights are the most efficient form of light source, with efficiency ratings of about 50%. White LEDs, like the ones used in these quantum board lights, use a downshift phosphor to render the blue LED light into different wavelengths of white light so that it gives a full spectrum for the plant to absorb. This efficiency that the white LEDs can achieve is less than red and blue purely because of this transformation of light, and it costs the light efficiency about 10%. So white LEDs are actually 40% efficient. That being said, not all LEDs are created equally. The Spiderfarmer uses Samsung 301B LED diode, which is one of the best in the industry, and the Mars Hydro uses Epistar LEDs, which are a close second. Now, when it comes to LEDs, drivers matter too. The Spiderfarmer uses a Meanwell driver, which is also one of the best in the industry, and the Mars Hydro uses a Sunggen Hoocho driver to power the LEDs. Both lights are full spectrum with IR and deep red LEDs mixed throughout, and both are fanless. The reason that quantum board LEDs now exist is because the efficiency of the LEDs has become so great that the amount of heat given off can be handled by a fanless heatsink. So the benefit of a fanless heatsink is that there's zero noise and no moving parts, so there's less to go wrong. But one of the downsides is you won't get the same amount of cooling as you do with fanned LEDs, which means that the LEDs have to be spaced wider apart and placed on a larger heatsink, which is what gives them the name quantum boards, because the PCB, or the printed circuit board that they're laid on, is so large and spread out over such a large heatsink, and this then allows the LEDs to transfer their heat from the LED through the PCB, through a thermal paste, and into the back aluminium heatsink so that the heat can then be dissipated through the air passively. One of the issues I think we'll have with the Mars Hydro light is that the heatsink is made of pressed gloss aluminium, whereas the Spiderfarmer light is made of anodized aluminium. Now, anodized aluminium can transfer heat up to 30 times faster than just plain gloss aluminium. That's why they use it in technology such as MacBooks and other heatsink applications. That being said, one thing that did impress me about the Mars Hydro light is that the rear LED driver can actually be dismounted from the back of the light and run away from the light, which reduces the amount of heat that the whole light will have to deal with dissipating. Whereas the Spiderfarmer lights actually have the driver attached and a short cord that's a permanent fixture. So realistically, you can only move it that far away from the light. This is actually a problem that boxed lights have because the heat sinks in the light are trying to dissipate heat away from them, which then heat up the box, which radiates heat back at the LED light. The reason this is bad is because LEDs become less efficient at high temperatures. So if you have an LED light that's working hard to dissipate heat, but heating up, they become less efficient, which means that they heat up faster,
which means I'm less efficient, which means I heat up faster,
which actually ends in a catastrophic failure of the LED diode. So if these lights overheat, then the LED diodes will fail and the light will be useless. So heat dissipation in these lights is extremely important. So that's enough talking about the lights. Let's set them up, see how bright they are, see how hot they get, and how many watts they draw. Now, because they do give you the option to remove the driver from the LED heatsink, I'd highly recommend doing that. I'm not going to do it just for the sake of this test, purely because I want to check how hot they get relative to each other. So first, we'll check each light's individual watt draw. So that's set on a factory setting of about 142.1 watts. Now I can change that by accessing the dimmer switch on the top of the unit and adjusting it up or down depending on the intensity of light that I want to achieve. Next, I'm going to test the Spiderfarmer. So that's a factory setting of 97.1, and that's dimmable also. So at this point, I'm going to highlight one of the things that I like about the Mars Hydro and don't like about the Spiderfarmer. The Mars Hydro's dimmable toggle is actually located on top of the driver, whereas the Spiderfarmer's is located underneath the driver, which makes it more difficult to dim if you are going to use this to regularly change your brightness setting when you're switching between seedlings and more advanced plants. Just something to note. 55 degrees on the driver, 50 degrees on the heatsink, 53 degrees on the driver, 45 degrees on the heatsink. So there is a difference, but it's only a negligible difference and not really enough to affect the light's efficiency. If you do want to make these lights last longer, I do recommend putting an external fan blowing across the light to remove excess heat. This will just prolong the light's life in the long run, but they are perfectly fine to work as they are. Now, because I don't have a par meter to measure the photosynthetically active radiation off these lights, I'm actually going to give you the real world values that the MIGRO YouTube channel found for these two individual lights. Go and visit their channel. They do a ton of really good grow light reviews. These efficiency values are actually fantastic values, and I'd be happy to recommend either Spiderfarmer or Mars Hydro. Depending on what you're looking for in a grow light, if you're looking for efficiency, go for the Spiderfarmer. It's slightly more expensive, but you get more efficiency. If you're looking for bang for your buck in amount of output, you get 50 more watts for a cheaper light, and it puts out a really good efficiency too, even though it's slightly less efficient than the Spiderfarmer. For these lights in a 1 meter squared grow tent, I'd recommend 2 Mars Hydro or 3 Spiderfarmer to replace a 500 watt HPS bulb. Most of the information about grow lights in this video is courtesy of a YouTuber called Plant Photonics. If you have any interest in creating your own grow light or just grow lights in general, the nitty gritty, he's a grow light engineer. Go and check out his channel. It's really good. And I'll leave a link in the description as to where you can purchase these lights direct from the manufacturer. So if you like the video, hit like. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel for more. And I'll see you next time on Hoochos.